My uncle kicked me out of my own office for his son. I left without a word. By that afternoon, inspectors were melting down, and he was begging me to come back. What would you do if the family you built an empire for threw you away like trash? Because that's what my uncle did when he gave my job, the one I'd poured 8 years of my life into, to his spoiled, clueless son. He thought he was erasing me. He had no idea he was about to unleash a storm that would nearly shatter his entire empire. My name's Owen. I'm 26. For 8 years, I ran operations for my uncle's commercial elevator service and inspection company. Or, I guess I should say, I ran it. Past tense. We've got about 30 techs, a fleet of service vans that smell like hydraulic fluid and regret, and contracts with hospitals, office towers, hotels, and apartment complexes across the metro area. When your elevator breaks down at 2 a.m. in a 20-story building full of residents who suddenly can't reach their apartments, someone has to coordinate that response. For 8 years, that someone was me. I didn't start there as operations manager. I started as a helper right out of high school, riding along with techs, learning the trade from the ground up. I did the midnight calls. I did the holiday emergencies. I did the inspections where you're crawling through machine rooms in 100-degree heat because some building manager waited until his certification was 3 days from expiring. The thing about elevator work is that when it's done right, nobody thinks about it. People step in, push a button, step out. They don't think about the cables, the hydraulics, the safety systems. What they really don't see is the guy who noticed a warn shift before it became a lawsuit, or talked a city inspector out of red tagging a hospital's freight elevator during a supply delivery, or kept relationships with building managers so solid they'd call us first, even when competitors underbid. I had a system. A binder with every building contact, every elevator's maintenance history, every inspector's quirks and schedules. I knew which techs worked best with which properties. Hector was magic with older hydraulic units and could diagnose problems by ear like some kind of elevator whisperer. Pauli was the guy you sent to difficult building managers because he had this gift for making angry people feel heard without actually agreeing with them. I knew which part suppliers could overnight an obsolete relay and which ones would say yes to everything and then take 6 weeks to deliver. I had a guy in Toledo who could source discontinued components that officially didn't exist anymore. I had a contact at a hydraulic shop who'd rebuild a cylinder on 24-hour turnaround if I asked nicely. I knew the inspection calendar for every unit we serviced down to the week. Knew which city inspectors were by the book and which ones would work with you if you showed respect. Knew that Inspector Harold wanted his paperwork in a specific order and would fail you for a crooked staple, while Inspector Price would give you a break if you were honest about what needed fixing. City compliance is everything in this business. One missed inspection and you're dealing with violations, angry property owners, and insurance people who don't laugh at excuses. An elevator that fails certification can't run until it passes. For a residential high-rise or a hospital, that's not an inconvenience. That's chaos. That's the thing about this business nobody talks about. It's not just turning wrenches. It's relationships. And that stuff doesn't transfer in a handoff meeting. It takes years to build and seconds to destroy. That morning started normal. I was reviewing the week's dispatch schedule, drinking my second cup of gas station coffee, when Gina from the front office walked in without knocking. Gina handled admin and whatever HR stuff a company our size needed, which mostly meant making sure people got paid and keeping my uncle's calendar organized. She was also my uncle's fiercely loyal assistant who'd worked for him for 15 years and would take his side in any dispute without hesitation. She set a banker's box down on my desk like she was serving me court papers. Behind her stood my cousin Wesley. Wes, fresh polo shirt, clean hands that had never touched a hydraulic seal. Looking around my office like he was already mentally rearranging the furniture. We're going to need this office today. Wesley's going to be handling operations going forward. I waited for a punchline. None came. Wes stepped closer with that smirk I'd known since we were kids.